We tend to think of it as the beginning of the Beatles. Of course, they had been around for a few years in Liverpool and other places, and I remember it vividly. For me, it's kind of it's really interesting for the audience, the younger people, to see this and understand that there was no British music scene before that. There was music, but it was more. It didn't translate as well to different other countries. And certainly not like this. And so this phenomenon happened, and you see it happen in this picture.
I just feel a little giddy to be a part of anything with the Beatles in the title. You know, I thought I missed that boat, but now here I get to be a part of this tonight. The movie's incredible. It's elegant. It's so classy, and it's so thoughtful. And I don't know, I found it really inspiring.
The challenge was, it's a very famous story. People think they know the story, but we thought maybe we could bring something new. And Apple Corps had sent to Park Road in New Zealand a treasure trove of footage that was restored. And the film has 17 new minutes of footage that have never been seen before. And not just from the material that David and Albert Maysles filmed, it's also from collectors and small archives and buried in large archives.
When we decided to do this early 2022, we thought Marty has to do it. And he and Albert were pals, and it just seemed the obvious thing. But, I've watched it several times now, and I'm always amazed that they were already so experienced. They came to New York, and it was like the giddiest four guys you've ever seen.
It's just pure joy because everyone loves the Beatles. And everyone knows the Beatles. So we've worked on documentaries about obscure subjects. This is not one of them. And there's just such continued insatiable interest in everything about this band, and this film captures these unbelievably intimate moments before they were this global phenomenon, and it was this really pivotal moment in their careers, and it's just really exciting to see. They're all so young, and they have no idea what's about to happen to them, so it's really great, and it's really full of joy.
But primarily what was really the big change was that it had an innocence to it and a drive for creativity that knew no bounds. Nothing was holding them in any way. And so this is something that as you get older and become old and you try to keep working, you try to always tap back into that energy of youth and innocence and art.
I couldn't believe the way it was documented. I couldn't believe the photographs of New York. It's the biggest time capsule I feel like I've seen in a long time. The photography is so beautiful and so rich, and it's so much fun that you feel like you're there with them. And we're all inundated with news now, and it's strange to look at 1964 and wonder, what is 2025? Where are we now? What's happening? I found that it broke my brain a little bit. I wanted to be inside those photographs. I wanted to be there.
So I think people should expect the unexpected. The other thing is the point of view from which we told the story, I think, is a little different than anything else. There's more of a focus on the fans, but not in some hysterical way. It's about a moment in 1964 where suddenly everything changed and young people mattered. And you have these four young men from Liverpool. The youngest is 20 years old, and the fans range from teenage, preteen to early 20s, and the world was theirs.
It kind of throws me, because I think they're so innocent. They seem so innocent, and yet they've been in Hamburg. They've been all over England. They're already famous. They come here and they completely fall apart with joy. It's like they might as well have been an explorer. And I always just thought that was really, that's the thing that touches me most about this film. It's like they're not blasé about anything, and they're completely taken by surprise at the reaction.
The beautiful thing about the footage was captured by the preeminent documentarians, Albert and David Maysles, and they were both just brilliant, and they captured reality, and they captured things in a kind of unfiltered way. And they shot this beautiful 16 millimeter black and white footage that has then been, when Apple Corps sent it to Peter Jackson's Park Road Productions for restoration for the picture and the sound restoration, what they did was really a miracle, because it took this already beautiful footage, but that had decades of age and degradation that's just natural, and they brought it back to life. And no one has ever seen these images look this beautiful and this pristine. So it's kind of like it puts the audience right there, as though they're there when it's happening.
The point is that the music, I'd say after the first year, the music developed so, they stayed together, 6 years, 7 years after this, and they already went to new, in a sense, frontiers. They matured within 2 to 3 years into mature and, in a sense, sometimes it takes an artist, I don't know, whether it's a performer or painter or musician, composer, whatever, maybe a period of 10 years or so, 15, 20 years to reach certain levels. These guys reach it within 5 or 6 years. Look at from the first records to the last ones. It's amazing work.
They're just boys, I mean, they have no idea, it's pre where people even understood what the media could do, what was happening to their lives. They're having, as they say in the movie, they're in the middle of a hurricane. They have no idea what's happening to them. I mean, watching them discover how sound works and taking their pictures, and they're having I think that's part of the magic of the Beatles, has always been, for all these generations that love them, their friendship. The music is wonderful, but you feel their friendship inside the music, and I think that's what we all gravitate to.
We have new interviews with Paul and Ringo, and Olivia. I edited a film. Martin Scorsese directed a film about George Harrison many years ago, so we became very good friends with her. And Sean Lennon, of course, they opened up their resources, their archive, and their enthusiasm.
I'd seen this footage before, and actually at one point I asked the office, let me see everything, let me see all the rushes, maybe 10 years ago. And I realized we'd hardly used any of it. So this film has a lot of unseen footage, and of course, never seen in the way that Peter Jackson restored it. None of it has looked this good. So all in all, it's been very exciting, and who can believe it's been a lifetime since they were here. George and I came back. We used to stay in the plaza, and I think the first time he goes, "Oh, this is where we stayed. This is the suite we stayed in." Funny.
I think it's really great. One of the things that Martin Scorsese, who's a producer on this film, and David Tedeschi, who's the director, one of the things they do so well is they kind of provide the historical context for when these momentous cultural events happened. And I really think it's fascinating for people to see what society was like, what the moment in America was like, fresh on the tragedy of the JFK assassination 3 months before, and what people, were wearing, and how they talked, and how close they could get to the Beatles. It's just a different time. There was no real structures for celebrity at that time on that level. So it's a fascinating time capsule. And the fact that it all looks and sounds so beautifully restored and so present makes it feel very alive and dynamic for audiences.
The musical performances of the Beatles as they've never seen them before. We talked about Park Road restored the film the sound was restored by Wingnut, which is also owned by Peter Jackson, the Mal team at Wingnut, and Giles Martin mixed them, produced the mixes. And it's just, I had seen these performances before, but it's like a totally new experience when you see it. The sound is just beautiful. It takes you back to that moment in 1964.